Hello, welcome. We're back with more Traveler Moons of Leviathan. Moons being pulled into Leviathan. The ducal moons. You were asking earlier, how is Emmett? And that there is Sir Emmett just getting real comfy in his bed and
Nice.
scratching away, as he likes to do. He likes to paw at it for a while. As though he's going to discover some treasure. I'm not sure. It's his burrowing instinct.
Yeah.
The cooler thing is if we like just completely wrap him in a blanket and he's just totally covered. He doesn't need to breathe, as far as I can tell. He doesn't. He just wants to be completely enveloped in it. Um, yeah. So for those coming back, we just discovered a war about to break out, and uh, and at the heart of it, the Duke of the House Job. Well, maybe not at the heart of it, but certainly a, a strong element of it. The Duke of House Job, who wants to hold on to the old ways, and we're saying heck no to them old ways. So, yeah, my question for you, Judd. I think it's entirely reasonable that uh, mother Hypatia Helen Jackson like reads all the same things that I'm picking up
Yeah.
the things I'm picking up, but I don't necessarily know that King Leto would.
Yeah.
Does
No,
he?
I don't think he does at all. Yeah.
Awesome. So we get to this like sort of moment in replaying the scene, and I freeze it and I zoom in and I focus on him, and I say he's the one. Whether you've considered him an ally in the past, he has been your enemy all along. He wants to hold on to the old ways, and he's going to unite. He has united the knights to. He has united the knights to oppose you.
Yeah. And I think I don't think any of this is. I mean, it's a surprise how bad it was,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not a surprise that it's him.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the thing that you do pick up that the Reverend Mother doesn't, because she's not really looking for it, is that he would duel with you. Like that. That's
Yeah.
definitely not you know what she's looking for.
Right.
And I think you're the one who sees that.
Yeah. Yeah. I say. I say. Look at the way look at the way he has his sword at his side. Notice the buckle; it's unfastened. He's ready to draw steel, even if no one's challenged him for decades. He's still ready to draw that blade. Um, and I'm sure quite capable. Um, uh, it's funny because like this whole thing started with the space duel.
Yeah,
Maybe it'll end with the space duel.
yeah,
Um, but like up to this point, Alexi was like, "Yeah, let's figure out what's going on. Let's stop these people. Let's do all this stuff." And then as soon as it's like I could duel this person, he just thinks like, "Oh man, last time I dueled somebody, just fucked everything up. Like it was such a goddamn disaster."
right.
Um, and uh, and I don't think So I think it's not like all the steam has been let out of him, but he has this like moment of pause where he looks at the king and he says, well, he looks at his granddaughter actually. He's like, you've studied my life, but did you study the time before I started time traveling? Did you study my earlier life?
The war, yes. It's fairly well documented.
Do you think that I should have dueled Paris when I did? He was a threat to my brother and in league with Nestor, who was attempting to overthrow him.
Dual Paris. You mean send Paris out to
Mm,
release the
never
anchor?
mind. Never mind. That never happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's like this is one of those reveals that like he shouldn't do, but
Yeah. She says you remember a different outcome, a different time.
I lived a different time. I lived a different time. I'm not truly your grandfather. I mean, I am and I'm not. But I met your grandfather in my time, who was me, who I had changed by traveling back. And he had done different things than I had done, including have a child, which I had not.
She
And
nods. She looks sad for you. I mean, just because she gets how isolating and difficult. She's studied what you've been through,
yeah,
and so she says it must be very hard.
suffice to say, there was a time when, in my time, I believed that the best way to defend my brother from threats was to face them head on. And I fought Paris, and it caused no end of turmoil for my brother. He had to eventually exile me just to keep the peace on Ithaca Station. I believe right now that if I were to challenge um, the Duke of House Job, he would accept, and I may prevail. But that might thwart his efforts in the short term, but it might thwart his efforts in the short term, but eventually turn people against you. And I look at Leto and I say, how much sway? Not even how much sway. I know he has a lot of sway. How certain are you of your claim as chosen of the Leviathan? How much are you willing to risk that um, others threaten that claim? Because if I defeat him, or if I lose, either way, there will be people who find reasons to vilify you. They'll vilify me too, but that doesn't matter. Are you prepared for that outcome?
I'm prepared. And I think he looks at his sister. Actually, he says, "We're prepared. We we knew when we started this to dismantle this feudal mess that governs the orbits that they were going to try to tear us down. But I don't think it's going to happen."
And I suddenly have this premonition, like this may be the duel that I lose,
Yeah.
and I look to Sister Hypatia, and I say, I want to give you the best advice I've ever given someone before. Stay by your brother's side.
Nice. That's awesome.
But I mean it. I mean, like, yes, I love that I could say that again, um, instead of to myself, to her. But I really think that as Alexei realized, like, this might be the end of his story, um, he's got to leave them in the best shape possible. um, and to do that, and really that means them, you know, sticking together.
Yeah.
Cool. Have the proceedings for challenges changed much in the last 200 years?
Not much, no.
Yeah, I didn't think they would. Some things stick around.
I think it ends up in a very similar situation where you go back and forth, and you end up with one of Leto's guards as your second, and uh, I'll get you her name in a second. And
Nice.
then you you end up, sword to sword on the, out in the void. I think it's on the hull of the capital ship. Uh,
It's on Troy.
it's on Troy.
Yeah. The irony of fighting on Troy when I fought so many times to conquer Troy is
Right,
not lost at all.
right.
Yeah. And yeah, and I think it's the part of the battle where we're still talking. The part of the duel where we're still where we're ready to draw, but there's still a moment of civility. Um, and I say to the Duke of House Job, and I say, you still have a chance to save your family and to save your future. You can set that sword down and pick up, what is the equivalent of like the shovel? Right? Like, you could set that sword down and
Might
pick
still be the
up.
plow, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah. I like it. I like the idea that there's like the space plow. I don't know what that is, but yeah, yeah. And pick up the plow, and you will not only save your own life, but you'll save the future of your family.
Yeah, he hasn't taken his sword hilt off of his belt yet,
Yeah,
and I think you are affixed with this old armor, and his armor is much more sleek,
yeah.
and you've got like your old
I've got my old void suit that I
the
found
old
from.
void suit.
Yeah.
They pulled it out of a museum somewhere,
Well,
and
remember, I like found it. I found the 200-year-old void suit
yeah,
on Ithaca Station, right?
yeah,
So yeah,
uh, yeah. They've cleaned it up, and he has not. I think, but both of you still have your swords in your scabbard.
yeah.
You've got this big long sword. He's got this kind of Renaissance era, uh, basket hilt on a laser on what will be a laser sword, and he says, and his name. He has a name. Do you have a name, Punk? All punks should have a name. His name is Duke Moza of House Job, and he says
Mozier.
Moza. Uh, hold on. Now that I know that uh, we can actually put that on the boop Duco's at Moza House Job.
Nice.
Yeah, Duke Moza of House Job, and his laser sword is still on his hip, and he says, Is it true you've been ahead 10,000 years?
I have. And I can tell you. Well, I'll wait. I'm gonna wait till he's.
And this thing that your grandson is doing. It is the right thing. Destroying the noble houses that have seen these orbits safe.
He's not destroying anything. He's bringing life to a new era. And there will be more eras beyond that. But this one, the next one has to come. We're at the end of an age. You don't know it because you can't see it from the behind from the future. But we are at the end of a time of the Dukes and the beginning of a new age that will lead to another, that will lead to another. And in that time, there is no remnants of House Job. There is no memory of you. And there is nothing for you to, there's no legacy for you to leave except the opportunity for those of the future to have a peaceful existence together. You can fight that and try to hold on to your name for a year or a decade or a generation or 10 generations, but I guarantee you your name will fade. It will not be written in the stars. But what will be, and I sort of like look over my shoulder, and so it's like the future of the Leviathan, the future of everything we know.
Yeah. And I think like, the Leviathan is the skyline, right? Like it just, you can't be out on a space on a space hull with
Yeah.
magnetic boots and not be looking at this thing because it's just there. And he says, "Is that why you traveled in time? Because you wanted to see your family's name written on the stars?"
Suppose it was. And then I realized what a mistake that was.
And when you traveled in the future, did you see this duel?
No,
So you have no idea what happens now.
I know no better than you.
Hmm. Do you want to try to? Do we want to roll on this?
Sure. Yeah. I don't mind. I mean, the nice thing about moves like sway someone
Yeah.
is I think there's an option even on a 10 plus where he can explain what he must refuse, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
there is still opportunities for you to say, dude, you did your best. You made the most compelling argument.
Yeah.
And he has to acknowledge that it was a good argument, but this is why he can't abide by it. And I
Yeah.
think
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's fair, right? For him to just be like, I can't, I haven't traveled 10,000 years in the future to see what's going on. Like, I can't take your word for it. Sorry, buddy.
Yeah. It's a really good move. It's not charm person, right?
Right.
It's charm person. Can we just? Let's not get me started.
Yeah.
Uh,
But I think this is could sway somebody, not confront. I'm not trying to bully him or threaten him.
yeah.
I
No.
am
No. I
trying to
love it.
warn him, but it's
Yeah.
not. It's giving him an opportunity.
Yeah. It feels
So
like leadership.
yeah, I think so. Let's
Let's do it.
let's let's give the old leadership a shot and see what I get. All right, not nothing. Um, on 7 to 9, if they don't want to go along with you or refuse, they can choose to ask you for evidence, time, compromise, or some concrete answer, and then they must go along if you provide it. Don't go. Let's see. Interesting. Honestly, if I'd gotten a 10, I think it would have been more straightforward, which is rare.
Right.
If they don't want to go along with your refuse,
They can choose to ask you for evidence, time, or a compromise, or some concrete assurance. Yeah. He asks for a concrete assurance. He
yeah,
asks you to psychically share. And I think like that would mean getting close to one another,
yeah,
right?
yeah. And whereas I didn't think I don't know. Tell me if this sounds right to you, Judd. I didn't think using sort of psychic ability to read the room was sort of threatening my temporal status, but I do think sharing psychic memories of other times
Mm.
would be. Does that sound? I
Yeah,
mean,
that
Alexi doesn't know, but like,
right, right. But Sean and Judd can know,
yeah,
and
exactly.
uh, I don't think so because I think it's still your memory.
Okay,
You're not reaching into time; you're reaching into your brain.
yeah, okay, sounds good. I think Alexi is still worried, but then he remembers, like, like we cut back to him, like popping one of those pills, like popping one of those pills right before the battle or
Yeah,
something like that.
yeah.
Like, okay, I'm not going to slip through time because
Yep.
he knows moments of tension are
Yeah.
like fraught for this.
Yeah.
So, um,
Yeah.
and
I think you both like, click, magnetically click your way closer to each other
yeah,
until maybe even like your helmets are kind of uh
like we head,
yeah,
forehead to forehead, kind of
forehead to
like,
forehead.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I think I like put my hand, and this is he could totally like shiv me. Yeah, like all sorts
Yeah.
of horrible things could happen right now.
You might get
But
shivved.
yeah, but that's why we roll the dice. To find out if
Uh
you get shivved, space shivved.
you might get space shivved. We'll see.
Yeah, I think I'm going to try and maybe not give him every moment of my experience, but like give him the sort of like overwhelming impression of everything that came. Like, not so he's not going to live every moment I did, but like he's going to see those big elements, and I think ultimately he's going to see the Dyson sphere around the Leviathan and how it's like, well, it's been tamed, and the people have like, uh, it is no longer this cosmic threat, and it is now something that they work with as opposed to uh, tremble in fear of.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's find out. Let's roll my +0 psychic ability. But before I roll +0, am I acting on information that I read a sitch from? Is that reasonable?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's really like knowing he is linchpin. Okay,
Yeah.
all right. So I'll roll a +1. Yep, that's what I figured. Exactly. I fucking knew it. I
Yeah.
I just knew this. Yeah,
Yeah, and I think you share it with him, and I think you share it with him successfully, but I think he sees it as horrific.
yeah,
And when you open your eyes to make eye contact with him again, the red glare of his laser sword uh, erupts between you, and you feel it, puncture your suit and puncture your lung, and and yeah, I think he, you know, puts it in and then rips sideways and uh, to make the tear larger.
yeah.
And is that the end of Alexi?
I feel like Alexei is probably dying, but I don't
Yeah.
necessarily want to say that he's dead. I think maybe
Okay.
he goes to rip it sideways, and Alexei was not entirely. He was hopeful, but not entirely uh, putting his guard down. I think when he goes to rip it sideways, it smacks into the true sword that has been drawn.
Yeah.
And so yeah, he's delivered this horrible puncture wound, which will eventually be fatal. Maybe I could be saved with medical attention, but I'm not going to because I'm going to fight this guy right now with a punctured lung.
Love it.
Because that's how the best fights are done, is when you're fucking dying or before they start.
Right. That's how I like to fight.
Yeah. And I think I try to say I see, like I see you,
Yeah, yeah,
but I barely have the breath to do it.
yeah,
Um, and I correct my blade and there's no way that a steel blade should be able to block a laser sword, but it's the true sword, and because of that, it
yeah. And
is
it's not steel. It's like a weird, you know, porcelain alloy
yeah,
hoodoo sword. Like it's not. Give me a break.
yeah,
Steel. How quaint.
right, fair enough. But its edge glows uh,
Yeah, it
with
could definitely block a laser sword for a while. I mean, it might take damage after, but yeah, totally it can.
yeah, excellent. And I think just to Final Fantasy the shit out of this last fight, as he draws it and he puts his guard up to start the duel like formal. Like the duel hadn't actually started yet. Like it wasn't supposed to have. All right, we weren't supposed to be
Right.
drawing, but like as he starts it to like start informal, we see Sir Pens and a bunch of the other digital ancestors like projected out around him. And they're not taking part in the fight, but they're sort of circling it. They're forming the dueling circle as all of these holographic projections from the true sword are there to guide him. Ostensibly, that's what the AI it does. Um, and yeah, then I'm gonna do battle with this Duke Boza.
Yep.
Is that cool with you that I just say like no, I'm not dead?
Yeah, 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 yeah. No, I think the yes. I wasn't sure.
Yeah,
And if I was sure, I'd be like, come on, Sean, give me a break.
yeah,
And I've done that. I mean, I've
yeah.
y'all
Absolutely.
can
No, I think we're both feeding it. I also could see the call for like you have to act under fire to like not die right now.
right.
But I think I've got plenty of opportunities to die anyway.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, you might still die, but I wasn't sure if that was yeah, yeah, yeah. I no, 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 no. It's not that I think you're dead and now I think you're fudging it.
yeah,
It's that uh I think I think it was a possibility and I wasn't sure where you were at. So I wanted to just check in. Yeah.
yeah. Nice, awesome. Let's do this. So I think, like you said, um, I let's see. Is there? I just see the attack someone move, which I'm super down with doing, but I don't know if there's also a do battle move still.
I feel like there is basic move.
Because confront says if
Yeah,
you fail to
yeah,
attack,
I think it's attack someone. Yeah.
yeah, okay. Oh, underneath it says do battle.
Doing battle when you attack someone while under fire, which is like attacking someone in the midst of a larger
Yeah,
exchange. But I think attack someone is fine for a duel.
cool, excellent. I'm gonna roll my blade because hey, I have it.
Yep.
And I'm going to take +1 forward on it from reading the stitch about him earlier. Does that sound right to you?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Yay, read a stitch. Try to get the actual roll command.
I should watch this roll. This is an important one.
All right. Not quite what I hoped for, but I'll take it.
Right. Yeah. Choose one.
Inflict harm is established. All right. Inflict terrible harm. Feels like I could kill him.
Yep.
Seize hold of something. You name it, you definitely have it. Take his blade, grab his attention.
Yeah.
Does. get them out of the way. You knock them down, drive them away, or fight past them. Now, he is he is the intention right now. Impress, frighten, or dismay them. Ask the MC how this changes their morale and intentions. Pin them down. They're immobilized, corner, boxed in, and can't move freely. I think I want to pin them down, and that looks like pushing them towards the edge, like where they're on the edge of, where they're on the edge, where like the next step means stepping off
Yeah,
into the void, right?
kind of a cliff face. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. And it's a long it's battling back and forth, but it's me knowing that at the end of the day, whether I can put my pointy blade through him matters a lot less than whether or not he loses grip. And I think ultimately Alexi's like stronger point is not his sword fighting ability, but his ability to stay on a freaking hull. Like this is what he's done so many times,
yeah,
is like fight on the side of hulls, and I think I can, stay attached if he goes flying. Also, it would have great symmetry with So
right.
yeah, with the beginning. So yeah, I think I'm pushing him, but if I read it, it says you inflict harm is established. So presumably he is harmed in this process.
Yep.
I don't know if I also suffer harm as established as well. It would sort of seem reasonable that
Yeah.
we'd be trading harm.
Yeah. I believe so.
Mhm.
I think, um, yeah, you push him back to the edge, and then his laser sword is still sawing into you, and
Yeah.
I'm going to need you to act under fire to just keep it together.
Yeah.
Just because you've got a sword in your gut.
Yeah. I think there's at least one moment where like I end up blocking with my arm, and we see it like cut through the void armor, but like hit the cybernetic arm underneath.
Oh, nice, nice.
Like there's
Yeah.
sparking off of that.
Sparks. Yeah. Love it.
Because you can't have the cybernetic arm and not show it.
It's Chekhov's cybernetic arm. I mean, come on now.
Right. Yes. I will do that. I don't feel like in this case,
right,
reading the situation applies.
Right.
But I think if you said I've got him out right up against the edge, but he's run me through. He's got a sword in my gut.
Yeah.
And the fire is like obviously that I'm going to sort of collapse, keel over, etc.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I was going to see if I could make an argument for rolling brawling because we're up close, but I think this is still part of the sword duel. So
okay,
I'm gonna roll blade.
Oh, wow.
The Leviathan wills it so, Judd, that I will stay in this fight.
Leviathan definitely wills it so. Yeah, I think you stay conscious, and I think you're both so close, right? You're faceplate to faceplate.
Yeah.
And you see him. You see his eyes. Very like you don't only see his eyes, you feel his demeanor change from I'm confident I've won this duel. You got too close and showed me something terrible. You thought you were showing me a heaven and you were showing me a hell, and I gutted you for it because fuck you.
Yeah.
And like you saw him go from that confidence to, oh my God, I'm going to lose this duel.
Yeah.
This ancient relic is a savage. And you see fear in his eyes.
Yeah. And I think when he sees mine, he just sees that bloodshot eye of mine just almost turn completely red, right?
Yeah.
Like the capillaries bursting in that eye, like I'm not fighting you. I'm fighting the legacy that you want to try and leave, and I cannot
Nice.
abide by.
Nice.
And I think at this moment, he's got a sword in me. I reach down and I grab it, and then I just do this classic pirate move taught by Hans. And I like reach and I grab his like magnetic controls. Like we're up so close that I reach and I grab his mag release so that his boots let go, and I just shove him off into Leviathan because that's how you're gonna do with his sword still in me. So I'm
Yeah.
gonna roll brawling
Yeah.
to
Yeah. Yeah.
attack someone,
Yep. Yep. Yep.
and,
Yep.
and just
Yep.
send him on his way.
Roll.
Oh, curses! Right. Oh.
Um.
Well,
Yeah.
question. Yeah, never mind. I was gonna say, could I apply the +1 from reading a sitch, but
Right.
I don't know.
Uh.
Do you think this is still part of the same sitch?
Yeah. It is. It is part
Okay.
of the same sitch.
All right. Well, then I'm taking it. I'm taking it
Okay.
to squeeze by to turn that into a 7, and I want to inflict terrible harm.
Yep.
Well, actually, I get 2. No, I get 1. It's a
You
7.
get
Yeah,
one. You get one.
yeah,
Yeah. I think. Yeah. I think he's off into the void.
yeah,
The Leviathan takes him. And I think like his laser sword is still like when he feels his boots disconnect, he lets go of it to
yeah.
try to
Try and grab
reconnect,
hold. Yeah.
and he's already gone by the time he turns the magnets back on. And I think we end this scene, and maybe more. Well, let's talk with Alexei, standing there with a laser sword in his gut and a
Yeah.
true sword in his hand, knowing that he has paved the way for his descendants to, make the orbits a better place. And, uh, his crystallizing blood is all around him.
Hmm.
And, and is that the end of this story, I guess? Is that the end of Moons of Leviathan?
Yeah. I feel like it should be. I think Alexei knows
Yeah.
that if he keeps living, he will cause a singularity. He'll be far greater threat than he'll be a far greater threat. Like all those things he was just saying, he was saying to the Duke, um, uh, to Duke Moza, and I think like it suddenly hits him that like he needs to listen to his own what he's saying. Like I think he hits over the calm, and he's just sort of like saying in raspy voices like, you weren't wrong to fear what I might become, what the Leviathan might do with me. And we don't know who he's communicating with. Like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah. Yeah.
it's an open calm.
Yeah.
You weren't wrong. You weren't wrong to fear me. I finally I Leviathan has shown me it's shown me like where I finally seen into the eye of the Leviathan, and I know um, you know what I must do to step out of your way to making a better future.
Nice.
And I think we just sort of see it go dark, but that's the end of Alexei, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Uh,
awesome.
yeah, I'm very down with. Uh, I won the duel, but didn't survive the encounter. I think
Yeah.
that's I think ultimately in so many ways that's perfect because last time surviving was kind of a problem. Like it had,
Yeah.
coming out of it was Uh, knife fights in
Cool.
space, Judd.
Yeah. Two swords fight. Yeah. That was awesome. Thank you, Morgan.
Yeah, thank you, Oregon, for giving us this little tiny nugget, this little tiny morsel that we turned into beautiful, beautiful thing.
Yeah. Cool. Cool.
Yeah,
Cool. That was fun.
yeah, I had a blast. So we broke the single digit barrier, but only by one.
That's all right. That's all right. Uh,
Yeah,
I mean, in a lot of ways, I feel like our Burning Wheel games, are well over that because we switched characters, but it's still in the same world. It was still in the same world,
yeah,
and uh, I think that is one to me. That's one continuous
yeah.
thing with different characters.
That's true.
But yeah, I hear you. Yeah, uh,
Yeah.
we definitely have a rhythm that we've gotten into with these.
Yeah, we play a character through. Although I have to say, well, that's not true. I was gonna say I have to say Alexi has had more twists and turns than many of my characters in Games with You. But you know, a shoeless peasant met both the Dwarven King and the Elveneth Arc.
Right,
That was not what she expected to do.
right.
When she woke up to clean her lord's boots.
Yes,
Uh,
yes, that is very true. Very, very true.
so
And
yeah,
and like the dwarf story was not supposed to be a throne story.
no,
That was supposed
no.
to be like a working class digging story, and it turned into a big throne thing, and you made this huge linguistics check where you like successfully spoke spider, and yeah, it was just some wild ass shit. So I feel like we always have surprises, but Alexi had a lot of like we always have a lot of surprises because I think that's the way we game. But Alexi had a lot of like about face turns
Yeah,
where it was like, this isn't only that he did something surprising and you did something surprising by making cool choices, but Alexi actually did something different than like he did something that we thought was like out of his realm. Like he
yeah.
just
Well, we thought it was
he
out of the game, right? We didn't
yeah,
think like being an exile was part of the game. We didn't think being a pirate was part of the game. We didn't
yeah,
think being a time traveler was part of the game. Like none of
right,
these things were part of the game until they were. Until it
yeah,
was
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
I guess we're doing this now,
Yep,
and following that along. Yeah, that
good
was a
stuff.
delight. It was really, really blast. As always, I love playing games with you, but
Yeah,
this one I felt like we were particularly bold in our sort of willingness to just to hold on lightly, which is something we've talked about or I've mentioned before. But this idea that like, okay, cool, this is the premise of the game. Until it changes, and then it's a different premise of the game.
yeah,
And there's definitely through lines. It's not like we gave up on it. I think we stayed very true to the game and
yeah.
to the world, but we were willing to let go of a lot of things that I wouldn't normally think of as changeable. So
There's an interesting thing I think that happens when you say, and I feel like this is a very old school way to game, where you say, "Hey, we've got a way for the dice to like cover the basics, and everything else is kind of negotiable." And I feel like it really freed us up to just be like, "All right, let's do space combat, let's do uh, space intrigue and time travel and psychic powers."
yeah,
And move beyond the scope of the game, uh, which I feel like is very old school D&D. Is like you end up first you start off a bunch of murder urchins, and then suddenly you're like you've got your own stronghold, and we need to figure out if the crops came in or not.
yeah,
And it's like, I don't know, roll a d6 and tell me what you get. Like, it's like you're just like trying to fucking figure this shit out because there's nothing in the game to help you with it.
right,
And I feel like we both are savvy enough, and Apocalypse World gives you those tools, and Apocalypse World, and honestly, Traveler gives you those tools for like, hey, here's how you do some things. Now you can make your own stuff.
yeah,
And I feel like that's what both of those games that we were inspired by made or helped us get to. Anyway, yeah, I don't know. There's something to that. Uh, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I agree. I think that we had we did not have a system that was actively stopping us from making these kind of,
Right,
like actively getting in the way of us trying these things out. And we did have to scramble to sometimes to figure out the best way to adjudicate it. There was a lot of times where it's like, what makes sense in this, like how are we going to handle this, but we had enough tools to do it with, and that was really great. And I think, yeah, you're right, this combination of Traveler and Ponce Roll Burned Over that is just, and our own just kind of making stuff up, that I think was fantastic.
right,
So,
right.
yeah. Well, thank you, Judd. It's been absolute pleasure playing this. Everybody, Judd and I, I'm sure, will come back with another game. Might return to Nara. We might pick something else up.
Yeah, I have no idea what we're gonna do,
Yeah,
which is always cool.
yeah, but
Um,
I'm sure we'll be back.
yeah.
Um,
Oh, you
uh,
know what we should do? I was listening to a interview with Jami today,
yeah,
and uh, they said there is a playbook in uh, the game that they are kickstarting with Possum Creek. What is it?
our haunt.
Our Haunt. Thank you. I was
Yeah,
going to say Our House. And I was like, no, that's not it.
I mean it's close. It's
Yeah, Our Haunt that they made and never got to play.
Oh,
And they made him was like, uh, this is the playbook for me, and I never got to play it in playtest. And so I think definitely, uh, if we can after BBC, uh, maybe get together and play Our Haunt, especially while if we can do it while the oh, thanks, folks.
yeah.
Um, especially if we can do it while the Kickstarter is up
Kickstarter's live. Yeah, that's
and
100%.
while it's the creepy season.
Yeah,
Um, I think that'd be really cool to have Jamie on um, and and play the playbook that they wrote and never got to. That is their favorite playbook in the game and never got
yeah.
to
It
play. I
sounds
feel like every game designer knows that feeling.
Yeah, I'm like,
And
I made this one for me. I
yeah,
never got to
yes,
do
yes,
it. Yeah,
yes.
yep.
And I
I
backed that in a heartbeat. So
yeah,
anyway, that'd be cool. It's something to think about as the
that sounds
creepy
great.
season
Yeah,
marches on.
wonderful.
Cool.
I think we can make that happen, and I think for now we should say good night.
Good night,
Um,
folks.
it was a blast, and I'm gonna
Yeah.
look for the sign off screen. There it is. All right. Nope. There it is. Okay. Good night, all.
Good night.
And